Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Jared and Braxton from 3C's Recreation. Pretty exciting. This is our first 2026 Beta 300 cross trainer. Just came in. Snowing like crazy out today, so we got it right inside. And I thought I would do, about 3 years ago, Braxton and I did this video where we did like initial setup tips on like a cross trainer. Did really well. It's got like 40,000 views. So I'm going to combine two different things here. We're going to do like a first look, walk around, explain all the features, and we're also going to kind of do that whole like setup tips. So main reason is because wherever you buy your bikes, they might not do everything the right way or the way you want to. And so we just want to make sure if you got a brand new bike in your garage, you can go down, watch this video, do all the checklist stuff, make sure your bike's ready to rock and roll. It's a good way for us here at 3Cs to help you guys. So if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and then hit the like button. It helps the video blow up. We would appreciate it. Let's jump into it. This is just how the bikes come to us right out of the crate. We even left the box of goodies underneath. This is the headlight mask there and the bubble wrap. They come with this little cheat sheet, and I don't think all the dealers provide this. So I'm going to let you guys screenshot this right now if you want to. But the model that we're concerned with would be like the 250, 300, the clutch side is 800 cc's of oil. And then oil injected models, which is what this is, we're going to pre-mix that first tank 100 to 1. And then you can go ahead and then just use your oil injection after that. So I don't think everybody gets this sheet, so go ahead and pause that right there and then kind of jot things down, that whatever you might need off of that. My initial thoughts unboxing this, so we kind of look up top. Here's that new display. Obviously we'll show, the handlebars are resting on it, but there's that new display. We'll show you that better once we get her up into position. The main one that my eyes always go to is this oil injection line, and we can see there, it's pretty darn close to that shock. So in a minute we're going to adjust that. It's really not too bad on the ignition coil there. It actually has a little bit of a clearance there. That's okay. So maybe need a little bit of that. We'll kind of tinker with it here. Want to make sure that your bike at home does not have the line rubbing on the shock. That's super important to me. And then just kind of looking over, I'm always looking for like crate damage or things like that. So they've got a pretty good bubble wrap. We cut the rest of it off. You can see the rest of it back there, but it's got a good bubble wrap on it. And so we're going to pull it out now. I'll get the handlebars on, then we'll come back here in a second. Let's start with these tech tips. So the bike's still in the crate, and what I love to do right away is I love to tighten these pipe bolts down. Now these are those rubber mounts, and there's always like an extra half a turn. People always call when they buy a new bike that it just, you know, they rattle out. So watch this, we'll go, this is the first time me hitting these. I didn't prep this, you know, there's about a good third of a turn. It's not usually the frame side that needs a lot, it's the rubber side. Come down here, Brax, because there's a second rubber mount. It's right here in the front behind the pipe here. And again, that one was a little bit better. That one probably didn't need it quite as much. And then we'll go right here. Again, frame side, not a big deal. Pipe side's always the bigger deal. And one of my tech tips when we're installing skid plates, the skid plate is loose. You can see it's just dangling here. I love to put grease on these bolts. So here's the bolts that are gonna go up in there. Now this is just a assembly grease. You could use the blue stuff from Maxima as well, but it, you know, doesn't really matter. So the reason why I do this is because these bolts live in a really bad environment. As soon as you go through the first mud hole, these things are just going to be covered in mud. And so by doing this, kind of sharing the grease on all the threads, it's going to keep the corrosion away, because you're probably going to have this skid plate off more than you think. So just one thing here on the bottom, when we zing these in, I love to coat them in grease. When these come in the crate, they don't have the handlebars on. You know, I just want us to double check these top clamp bolts. So these are 40 Newton meters, this is what we're shooting for here. So just so you guys know at home, 40 Newton meters is what we're shooting for. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and put our handlebar bolts on. And these are 20 Newton meters. Let me double check. They are, yeah, 25. So 25 Newton meters in these top ones. Okay, so one thing when you're putting your handlebars on, first of all, you've got these little tick marks on both sides so you can gauge how flat you are. But second of all, we want to make sure this top clamp is flat on here. So because it's one piece all the way across, we can't just tighten the fronts down first, because then this would be a lot tighter on this side. We kind of like to set it evenly there on top. You can see how it's kind of flat. And then we'll tighten down a little bit on the front, and then we'll go to the back and do the back. And then we come across over here to this side and do the same thing. We want to keep this clamp kind of straight and parallel with the bottom clamp. So now we can torque these down. So one thing we talked about a lot in that 2023 version of this video was that the throttle cable was routed wrong. Now I went back through all of the beta service manuals and bulletins. There's been no updates on pretty much any two-stroke since 2023. So there's no new bulletins, and they did correct this. You can see the throttle cable is exactly routed the way it needs to be. And when I'm mounting, the next thing after the handlebars are tight, we're gonna mount our display up here. And what I like to do is I like to grease these bolts as well. Obviously you're probably not gonna take these out a lot, but into aluminum they could corrode pretty good. So we're gonna take these out. I'm gonna grease them before we put them in. One thing before we put those in though, is you're gonna be looking for this connector that matches this one. And the reason is it's way down here, it's this guy. They've actually moved it up, so it's actually a little bit higher than it used to be. And it probably would be okay where it is, but if you imagine how far down we just pulled this, this is your front wheel magnet sensor, and look how tight that already is. So imagine if we're hitting a jump and we're collapsing the suspension and it's forcing this brake line even higher. We're really pulling on this, and it's gonna make your front wheel magnet not read right, so you're not gonna get the right hours or the right miles. So what I like to do, before this gets put on, this didn't click in all the way, we need to pop this out of the back of this so you can kind of see it's a mess. What you have to do is you have to take this 8mm right here, because it's kind of holding all these wires together. We loosen that and it lets everything kind of come apart. So I'm gonna grab a tool. So you can see, I'm just kind of like searching like what's the best way to route this guy now. So I have where I want it. I'll show you when I'm done, but that's the mainly where that needs to go. Okay, so now you can see that bolts back in. And what that just let happen is see how much higher this connector is now? It's coming way up here. And so when I plug this in, we're gonna dielectric grease it first, but my example is look at how much less pressure is on this. I guarantee you like no other dealers are doing this. This is one of those little things that most shops are just connecting that and sending the bikes out the door, but it's gonna make this fail a lot sooner. So by popping it out of the back of the plastic mold here, it's gonna give you a lot more flexibility with that speed sensor. So what I just noticed as I was about to dielectric grease all this, look how nice this little connector is. Come on in here, Brax. This is that new display, and see how it connects in right here? It's got one little packet of wires. And because I sell so many bikes, look at all the stuff I have kicking around. This is a brand new two-stroke wire harness, so it's almost identical to what's on this bike, but I really just wanted to show you the back side of this display. So before we were fighting this big packet of wires, trying to tuck all this up in, my rigmarole would have been like, you kind of like morph it all around, try to jam it all up in here, tuck it up out of the way, kind of like this is how they normally look, is like this. But look at how it's like bent there. It's all coming back around. That is awesome. It's way tucked up. This is so much cleaner. So I kind of hope that this display makes its way over into the rest of the lineup, because if you look at the difference there, it's pretty awesome. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna dielectric grease everything up here in the front. And of course, you know, there's a lot more you could do, but that's gonna be at the consumer level. As a shop, we don't charge a setup fee when we do these, and I could spend hours and hours going through these bikes. So what I would do at home is I would also add dielectric grease on the back side of all these connectors. You can see, come right in, Brax. I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit. There it is. So you can see right into those connectors on the back side, right? So I at least try here at the shop, we're gonna dielectric grease on the inside of all these to help out. But my suggestion at home would be to kind of pull it all apart, dielectric grease everything, maybe put something thicker in the back side so moisture can't get in there, like a silicone. That would be pretty good. And so when we're doing this, we're just gonna route all these wires down in, because they've got these holders, they've got these nice bands on the bars. We're coming down in. Our throttle cable's happy where it's supposed to be. And I'm just gonna route all these in. We're gonna dielectric grease all this stuff and tuck it all up in nice. So we got the battery mounted in the tray, but what I like to do is you can see how they come with like a 90-degree bend on the wire. That's just too much for us to do this. So what I usually do is I just take a pair of pliers like this. I kind of pinch it just a little bit, and you can kind of grab it and pry it out, and look at that. It gives it more of like a 45 right there. That's gonna be a lot easier for us to connect that in there. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna top the oil off the batteries in. And I always do the oil injection oil, that is. We always do it on the side stand. So the reason why I took it out of the crate is because when this bike's in the crate, it's all straight up and down. And if you come on in, Brax, the cap on this is on like the left side of the tank. So as we tip the bike this way, it gives it a motion, and so oil can actually come out and up out of the breather hole in the oil tank. So here's your oil tank cap, and there's a little breather in it. So now we're gonna top the oil off on the side stand. So we're gonna try to show is now I'm gonna put it back up right, and you'll see how the oil level just dropped in there. And then now as I come down this way, the oil level rises right back up. So that's why we're doing this on the side stand when the oil is warm. We're gonna do the gas cap next, and everybody, it's so funny, I made a couple of videos on this, so I just rocked it a little bit and pulled it out. A lot of people online still to this day ask questions on like what that is. So I popped that out, but there's also inside of here, there is also an O-ring that I use my knife here, typically. And it kind of makes it right there. So that O-ring also needs to come out as well. So what we just removed was the check valve. So basically if you were to fall over, the gas won't splash back up through the cap and go down in your frame. But now that we removed it, because these do fall out, we recommend buying an inline check valve that would go in the liner here. You'd cut it and put it right in. A good example on a parts diagram would be off the RX 450 or the new 2-stroke models as well. Those have really good check valves in the lineup here. One of the last things we're gonna do is check this throttle free play. You can see how much there is here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our jam nut, loosen it up. I'm gonna pull this boot off of here so you can see what we're doing. So we just exposed the brass here. So I'm gonna tighten this brass up, and it's pulling that throttle pull forward. So you can't go too far. Like right there, we're getting pretty close. I'm gonna tighten our jam nut up. And what you have to do once we start this bike, so we're gonna have to go side to side with it outside. Make sure it's not too tight. We still have enough free play there. And as I rotate the bars all the way this way, because you might have more of a pull on the throttle tube one side or the other. So that was adjusting the throttle free play. We like to have it pretty tight. Most guys want it right crisp there. They don't want a lot of extra throttle cable to pull first. So I went ahead and pulled the air filter cages out. This is the cage out of the cross trainer. You can see how restricted it is. It just has these 3 holes here. Kind of helps keep that power mellow, easier to control. But this is the cage out of a standard 2-stroke. These are like under 20 bucks to buy the standard air filter cage. You can buy one of these, throw it right in the cross trainer without rejetting the bike. It'll be just fine. I also recommend throwing a bead of grease around on here. You can see how this filter, where it had been touching on the housing, and with some grease on there, you know you're getting a perfect seal all the way around. Now I don't do that to the bikes in the showroom because not everybody wants that done, but that grease will help sandwich it on here and make sure we don't have any dust sneaking in the side of there. So now we can see that oil injection line over here on this side of the bike, how close it is to the rear shock there. And if you look down in here, you can see that oil line comes through into the air box and sneaks around to the bottom of that oil pump. What I like to do is I put my finger on the back side behind this clamp and pull on it just a little bit, and you can see how it just pulled it out of its groove, and that's okay. Because we're pulling some of that tension out of here. It's kind of pulling it all the way down through here. So I'm going to sneak more of it up in. And you can see how it's already pulling it away from the shock. See how nice that is right there? So I'm going to give it just a little bit more. And then I'm going to like push this back down in its groove. Kind of holds the oil line in place down there. Make sure everything is nice and loose. Nothing's too tight. But look how much further away it is from the shock there. And I'll walk to the other side real quick to give you a visual on that side as well. So that's really nice. We're not touching the coil up here anymore. It's coming right through its housing, or right through its holder like it's supposed to. And we're way away from the shock, tucked down nicely right next to the car boot there. So I'm really happy with that. I think that really cleaned that oil line up. What I like about these newer bikes is they got these nice boots covering all these plugs back here by the ECU. So if I kind of pull this boot down, now it exposes what would normally be there. And if I pull this off, we can dielectric grease down in here as well. Went ahead and got this dielectric greased. You don't need a lot in here, just a little bit, because you don't want to push the pins out the back side of the connector with too much in there. But a nice little layer of light grease right on there, we'll plug it right back in. So these bikes come with a ton of Italian air from the factory. So I just want to show you guys. I don't usually have to hook the air hose up because we're just deleting air. I like to make sure, because usually I set these bikes up to have about 14 in the showroom and people can air down from there. But right here from the factory, look, it's at 26.9. So we're going to set both of these tires right at 14, and then the customer can fine tune it from there. All right, guys, welcome back to day 2 on the cross trainer build here. The plan was to go outside with you guys. We've literally gotten 10 inches of snow since yesterday, and it has not let up. So we're not going to go outside. I don't know why I thought it was going to be tropical out. But what we're going to do is I want to do the first start and just kind of show you right off the bat, they're really low idle. They don't idle very high. Now, I never set bikes up to idle until the radiators are warm. So like if you buy a new bike and it feels really low, wait like 4 minutes until it's up to riding temp. I think idle is going to be a lot better for you. So that's my spiel on the idle. We're going to check it. Again, I'm probably going to turn this on after like 20 seconds just so you're not going to hear the bike as much. But what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to start it. I haven't touched the idle yet. Let's start this thing real quick. Really low. Okay, so it's really not even going to want to idle very much. So I'm gonna help it with a choke. I'm gonna bump the choke a little bit to kind of help it start here. And again, I haven't started yet. So I've got to help it. If I let go, it doesn't want to idle. So that's right from the factory. And I'm going to screw this one in a little bit, and we'll show it right now. So what we're going to do, you can see from the factory, this is your fine tune. This isn't the actual idle screw. The idle screw is way down here. It's the brass one. But this is the only one that I ever have to adjust. So what we're going to do is we got to go in about half on this. It actually starts that far out. I think from the factory, they just put it in so there's enough pressure on the spring. From my experience, I'm going to guess right in there somewhere. So we can now retry to start this thing. Okay, let's try this again. No choke. This is just the carb itself. Might have gone a little high. You can hear how high that is. Maybe a little low. You're just kind of doing this by feel, by how it sounds. Again, a little low. These adjustments that I'm making are half a turn at a time. So if you're wondering, like, when you hear that idle change, it's roughly half a turn on that black screw is all I'm doing. But I think I'm pretty happy with that. Now keep in mind, this gas is mixed at 100 to 1, so we got extra, I'll call it sludge, extra oil in there. And I think maybe once it warms up, it's going to idle perfect. Let's come in and have a look at this oil bubble, because I saw there was a bubble in there, which is perfect. So if we stay over here. So what's exciting about this is there actually is, you can see the air bubble in the oil line there, and I love to see that because as a dealer, I want to count this out and make sure the oil pump's actually working. So I'm going to start it, let it idle, and you're going to see this air bubble tick toward the inlet there. So let's do that now. You can see it ticking away, which is a really good sign. That's exactly how fast that should be moving, so it's exciting. We'll let it idle just for another second, and I won't film the whole thing, but my job as a dealer is to make that disappear. So we'll let it run and then disappear down into the nipple there. So as promised, at the end of the video, we're going to do a quick walk around. Here's the Nissan brakes there. The 43 millimeter forks on the cross trainer, a little bit smaller, but that's okay. Nice plush ride on it. Up on the handlebars, you got the same controls as always. You've got your high beam, low beam, your horn, left and right turn signal. Got our map switch here. Got that new display right there in the middle. The interface is pretty similar to me. I don't know if there's a ton of changes there. We got our start and stop button. Again, we already adjusted the throttle, which is nice. This model does come with a cooling fan kit, which is on the other side, which is a bonus. You got your fuel shut off right there. We got off, on, and reserve. Now keep in mind, anytime we only put, maybe half a gallon in here just to do this video. You always want to make sure you run on reserve. If it's that low in the tank, you'll run out on the trail. So anything below about half a tank is automatically reserve. The reserve is way too high in these things. So come this way, here's our carburetor that we were just adjusting. We got our oil line pulled down the way I want to. This is the 6-speed gearbox. Nice premium DID O-ring chain on here, which is nice. A lot of the guys will end up removing this chain guide if they want to. That new taillight in the back. I went ahead and spun the bike around just to make things simpler with the garage in the background, the door there. You can see the standard pipe on this thing, how restricted it is. And we've got videos on the channel of us uncorking these with the air filter change, the pipe mod. You put the FMF performance pipe on there, wakes them up quite a bit. These are nice because the fill plug and the drain are right there for your transmission oil. So skid plate can stay on. Just get something to direct the oil off the frame there. Drain it, refill it. You can add the kickstart kit to the Beta still. Keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind, the Beta 2-strokes do not need a good battery to run, right? So if our battery dies, as long as you can bump start the bike or kickstart it, you can get out of the woods. It's a carbureted 2-stroke. Here's a look at that cooling fan kit on this side. Come down the seat, right to the back again. Check out the rear brakes. All right, guys, thanks for following along. That was Jared at 3C's Recreation, giving you a nice walk around and tech tip on the new 2026 Beta Xtrainer. Hope you enjoyed the video. We love making these things, so if you don't mind subscribing to our channel and hit the like button, it really helps us grow, helps us keeping us doing these videos. So enjoy the ride, see you on the trail.